Hi, John. Thank you very much for being with us in this Hungarian crypto show. John Light, the co-founder of BitSeed, author of Bitcoin, Be Your Own Bank, a meetup organizer, podcaster, and Bitcoiner. My name is Peter Kalos, a Hungarian crypto vlogger. I'm also the administrator of Crypto Trader Hungary, a Hungarian language Facebook group for the crypto lovers. So without further ado, John, thank you very much. We'd like to know your insight. My Hungarian group members asked some questions that I collected. And the first question that we have is, of course, regarding the SegWit, which is the topic of today's discussion. And we'd like to know your expert opinion on the BIP-148. So what is user-activated soft fork BIP-148 SegWit, and what kind of noticeable changes will the users experience in the features of Bitcoin after the 1st of August if the transition goes smoothly? We are particularly interested in knowing more about the impact of the change on the transaction confirmation times and the cost of the Bitcoin payments.
Sure. So BIP-148 is what's called a user-activated soft fork, where instead of setting a particular threshold for miner signaling to activate the segregated witness soft fork, instead what it does is it essentially sets a block height, or a day in human terms, at which the nodes that are running or enforcing the BIP-148 standard will begin to reject any blocks that are mined by miners which are not signaling for SegWit. And to the end users of the software, what this means is that if their full node that their wallet relies on for validating blocks and incoming transactions, they will not be receiving or validating any blocks that are not signaling for SegWit. So they will essentially start, if any miners are mining on the BIP-148 chain, then that chain will only be producing BIP-148 compliant blocks that enforce the segregated witness soft fork. So users on that chain will begin to use segregated witness and benefit from all of the improvements that segregated witness has to offer. It's really important that users only use BIP-148 after August 1st if either a economic majority of Bitcoin users are enforcing BIP-148 and or a majority of hash power is enforcing BIP-148. And if you really want to minimize disruption to the Bitcoin network, then you should only be enforcing BIP-148 with your node if there is a majority of hashing power also enforcing BIP-148. And so the idea behind BIP-148 is that the economic majority of Bitcoin users enforces BIP-148, and this will put financial pressure on the miners to also enforce BIP-148 and start signaling for SegWit if they are not doing so already. And so it's very important, if users want to see segregated witness activated through this mechanism, that they contact the exchanges that they do business with, the developers of the wallets that they are using for their economic transactions, and any other economic nodes that they're doing business with, including businesses that accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. And that users ask these economic nodes to upgrade their full node infrastructure to enforce BIP-148, and then to publicly announce this through a blog or a website post so that miners receive the economic signals that they need to show that there is economic support for BIP-148. And if a majority of hashing power is enforcing BIP-148 and signaling for SegWit on August 1st, then there will be no chain split and there will be no disruption to the Bitcoin network, because in the eyes of all of the full nodes that are out there, the old full nodes as well as the new full nodes enforcing BIP-148, according to
John, your voice. Sometimes I lose your voice. Sorry, maybe your microphone.
Well, anyways, can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
now?
now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So after August 1st, if there is a majority of miners who are mining and enforcing BIP-148 and signaling for SegWit, then SegWit will be activated without any chain split. Because the BIP-148 chain will be the longest valid chain according to both the old rules and the new BIP-148 rules, and so there will be no chain split. However, if there's only a minority hashing power mining on the BIP-148 chain, then there could be a split, and this could potentially lead to longer confirmation times, transaction backlogs, and possibly some other issues, including replay attacks and chain reorganizations. So that is the situation that we want to avoid. And so, again, it is encouraged that all users ask the economic nodes that they do business with, including the exchanges, the wallet developers, and the merchants accepting Bitcoin, to enforce BIP-148 and publicly announce their support of BIP-148 so that miners receive the correct economic signals and are therefore incentivized to also upgrade their nodes to enforce BIP-148 and signal for SegWit.
Right, you mentioned economic majority, so you stated that BIP-148 would only succeed without a chain split if it is supported by a majority of miners on August the 1st. So where do we stand with this support at the moment? Do you think this mining support is about to grow a lot, or do you think that the miners remain hesitant to support it overwhelmingly before the 1st of August, and thus a chain split is a very likely outcome in August?
I don't think that it's very likely. Of course, a chain split can happen at any time. The question is just how disruptive is it and who does it affect? If BIP-148 does not have majority hashing power or anywhere close to a majority of hashing power, then users should really just stay on the legacy chain, and they should not use a wallet that is enforcing BIP-148. However, if the economic majority of full nodes, including exchanges and wallets and large merchants and payment processors, are enforcing BIP-148, even if there isn't a hash power majority on August 1st, they're very likely to switch over shortly thereafter, so that they can reclaim the block rewards that they would have earned had they been mining on BIP-148. Because if the miners are not signaling for SegWit after August 1st, BIP-148 nodes are going to simply reject all of their blocks, and they could lose up to $20,000-$30,000 for each block that they reject. So that would be very unprofitable for them to do that.
Right.
The blog post that I wrote, if you can link to it when you share this video, kind of goes into more detail about what people need to do to prepare for the BIP-148 soft fork, and what they can do to show their support for this soft fork.
I will put this link under this video, so it will be there. And John, can you please clarify what the Bitcoin Scaling Agreement and Consensus 2070 means, and whether it can replace or invalidate BIP-148 and postpone the SegWit deployment?
Yeah, so the Consensus 2017 agreement, also known as the SegWit 2X, is basically an agreement by everybody who signed that agreement to basically create a new version of Bitcoin software that includes both segregated witness as well as a 2 megabyte hard fork. And the exact parameters for the activation of these changes are that instead of signaling for segregated witness on bit 1, the way that BIP-141 signaling is currently being done, this new Bitcoin software will simultaneously signal for both segregated witness activation and 2 megabyte hard fork activation on bit 4. So this is essentially a re-implementation of SegWit, or at least a redeployment of SegWit using a new signaling bit, where this signaling bit simultaneously signals for the activation of SegWit, and then 6 months after the activation of SegWit, a 2 megabyte hard fork will be activated. And again, another additional parameter to this new Bitcoin software is that instead of requiring 95% miner signaling to activate the segregated witness soft fork, this new deployment of SegWit will only require 80% miner signaling in order to activate SegWit. So the rollout plan for SegWit 2X is that they deploy this new software to all of the nodes, and then they all begin, the miners who run this software will begin signaling for both SegWit 2X on bit 4, and then once 80% of hash rate is signaling for SegWit 2X, then segregated witness will activate on this software, and then 6 months later there will be a 2 megabyte hard fork. As to how this relates to the BIP-148, my understanding is that this is basically a completely new deployment of a segregated witness, and so the miners who signal for this version of SegWit are not going to be doing anything to activate the current deployment of SegWit via BIP-141, and so for that reason, it is incompatible with BIP-141 and BIP-148. Mm-hmm. And so any nodes that are expecting segregated witness to be activated via BIP-141 or BIP-148 are not going to recognize if SegWit is activated using this SegWit 2X software. And so there's a possibility if SegWit 2X does not activate until after August 1st, that some nodes will begin enforcing the rules of BIP-148 on August 1st, and other nodes will be expecting segregated witness to activate using SegWit 2X. And so they will start basically seeing a different version of the blockchain from that day forward. Again, unless the majority of miners are enforcing BIP-148 so that it remains the longest valid blockchain.
That sounds truly exciting, John. My typical Hungarian viewers don't run their own full node. They just have a lightweight wallet to store their bitcoins. What precautionary measures should we take before and after the 1st of August to preserve our Bitcoin holdings and continue to transact without any hiccups?
Well, it depends. depends on a few different outcomes. So first, I would say, if you want to see a segregated witness activated on August 1st or sooner, you should configure your wallet or move your Bitcoins to a wallet that supports and enforces BIP-148. I recently published a blog post about how you can configure the Electrum Bitcoin wallet to enforce BIP-148, and I encourage you to check out that blog post if you're interested in doing that. However, as I mentioned earlier, BIP-148 relies upon either the economic majority supporting a BIP-148 or a hash power majority supporting BIP-148, or both, in order for this activation of segregated witness to be safe for users of the BIP-148 chain. If it turns out that neither the economic majority nor the hash power majority are enforcing BIP-148 on August 1st, you should not, under any circumstances, be running any software that enforces BIP-148, because what could end up happening is that any transactions that you do on the minority BIP-148 chain could be reversed through a reorg. Your confirmation times could be very long, and it could, just generally be a very degraded user experience. And so, if by August 1st it's looking pretty clear that BIP-148 does not have the support that it needs from either the economic majority or the hash power majority, you should not be enforcing BIP-148. For everybody who is listening to this and is like, I don't know what you're talking about, or I don't really care, the best thing to do is to just hold on to your Bitcoins and don't do any transactions until it's clear which chain is going to win, so to say. Most likely, it's going to be clear very quickly, if not before August 1st, then certainly very shortly thereafter. And so my personal opinion and my prediction is that August 1st, regardless of whether BIP-148 succeeds or not, it's going to be just another day in Bitcoin for the vast majority of people who are using Bitcoin. They are going to be able to transact and use Bitcoin just the same as they were able to on July 31st. So I don't think it's going to be any different. However, again, or I should say that, my personal desire is that we have segregated witness active on the Bitcoin network before or on August 1st, and that the user-activated soft fork is successful and remains the longest valid chain without any sort of risk of a chain split. But the next best thing, in my opinion, is for the status quo to continue until we can have a safe deployment of SegWit, whether that's through BIP-149 or SegWit 2x. It makes no difference to me. But my personal preference is that we activate via BIP-141, which is the current deployment of SegWit, with BIP-148 ensuring enforcement of SegWit after August 1st.
Thank you, John, for the detailed answers. You recommended to sell our non-SegWit bitcoins if there is a long-lasting chain split after the 1st of August. You said that we would have coins on both chains. We can use a wallet that supports transacting on both chains and can exchange the coins that are on the non-SegWit chain to the SegWit bitcoins. This will put sell pressure on the price of the non-SegWit bitcoin and add buy support to the SegWit Bitcoin, increasing the chances of SegWit Bitcoin success. Your recommendation is clear and makes perfect sense. Regarding the technicalities and execution of this action plan, will it be easy for our crypto newcomers and inexperienced users to recognize the non-SegWit Bitcoin and tell it apart from the SegWit Bitcoin and follow through your recommendations?
It depends on what the exchanges end up doing if there is a chain split, and also whether the wallet developers make it easy to interact with both chains independently. In practice, this could end up being either very complicated or possibly impossible, or practically impossible, I should say, to do if no exchanges are supporting buying and selling Bitcoins on both chains independently. And so this recommendation in one of the blog posts I wrote recently was put in there just in case of the potentiality that the exchanges do end up supporting both chains the same way that they support Ethereum Classic and the official Ethereum today, as well as having the wallets support both of these independent chains as well. However, in the very short term, if there is a chain split, it's likely to be very chaotic, and so supposing that there is a near equal amount of hash power on both sides on either chain. Again, my personal prediction is that either there will be overwhelming support for the BIP-148 chain, in which case it will become the clear winner, or there will be a very underwhelming amount of support for the BIP-148 chain from both the economy and the miners, and so nobody is going to be transacting on that chain. And so I do not anticipate a chain split, but if there is one, those are the possible scenarios that could work out.
Thanks, John. My Hungarian viewers would like to know the worst case scenario in case the miners and the users are unable or unwilling to reach a consensus, or if the SegWit deployment is not technically feasible and due to an error in the untested code the SegWit chain cannot survive. Do you think there is a real chance or any chance that Bitcoin can lose its dollar value and become a worthless cryptocurrency which can set off an all-out panic sell and write off the cryptocurrency market capitalization to dust?
No, I think the worst case scenario is that you have some very stubborn users who continue to try to mine and transact on a minority SegWit soft fork chain without the support of either the economic majority or the hash power majority. And if you are not on that minority chain, then you don't have anything to worry about. Your wallet will not even know that that chain exists, and you won't be transacting on that wallet or on that chain for all intents and purposes. You might be in theory if there are replay attacks, but your wallet simply won't know that that's happening. I don't think a potential worst case scenario would be that the hash power between the legacy chain and the BIP-148 chain is about even, so 50-50, and you have basically constant reorg attacks and replay attacks happening back and forth between the chains, and it's basically like a blockchain civil war, and basically users could potentially have their transactions on both of the chains reversed and reorged, and they could have, it could look like they're receiving Bitcoins, and then those Bitcoins disappear later, and so, it could be very confusing for people in that kind of scenario. And so once again, without the support of either the economic majority or the hash power majority on the BIP-148 chain on August 1st, you should not be running the BIP-148 software. You should only run BIP-148 if it has the support of either the economic majority or the hash power majority. So the idea is that the economic majority and all of the users who use Bitcoin for economic transactions should enforce BIP-148 leading up to August 1st. And you project this support on your website, on social media, on the various places where people communicate about these things online, in order to send a signal to the miners that the economy of Bitcoin supports segregated witness and activating it using BIP-148. And so this will, in theory, convince some of the miners that are on the sidelines to come out in support of BIP-148, so that on August 1st, when it activates, all of their blocks are actually worth something, and they can sell the Bitcoins that they've mined to the economic nodes that are enforcing BIP-148. But again, without that support, you shouldn't be running BIP-148 after August 1st. That will prevent the worst case scenarios from happening.
That's great, John. John, finally, a somewhat related question from my Hungarian viewers who hold a big Ethereum balance in their portfolios. So, do you think that Ethereum can profit from the Bitcoin SegWit directly or indirectly? If the SegWit transition fails, then one could argue that Ethereum could become the only viable option to lead the crypto chart. Ethereum can also profit from Bitcoin's success because the SegWit adaptation can reinforce the trust in the long-term feasibility of the cryptocurrencies in general, which can boost the price of Ethereum in particular.
I don't really have any particular comments about how segregated witness affects Ethereum. I think that the markets for the two different blockchains are very different. Ethereum to me is just not attractive for the same reasons that Bitcoin is attractive. Bitcoin's main attraction to the people who use this blockchain is, one, it is the most widely accepted cryptocurrency by far, from merchants, traders, Bitcoin ATMs and exchanges, etc. So Bitcoin has the largest economic support, but perhaps most importantly, one of the reasons why Bitcoin has the trust of so many people is because the chain is designed to be immutable, and the development teams that are working on Bitcoin are committed to the immutability of Bitcoin transactions, whereas Ethereum has already proven itself to be reversible, in the sense that last year they essentially reversed over $150 million worth of Ether transactions in order to bail out some insiders and other people who made the mistake of sending money to the wrong Ether address. And so, for the people who care about immutability and irreversibility and the principles that underlie the Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum is not a suitable alternative. If you're only in this to make money, sure, buy Ethereum. But if you actually have principles and you care about the principles on which Bitcoin was founded, then Ethereum is not a suitable alternative, and you should just stick it out, because Bitcoin has gone through rough periods before, and it's always come out on top, and I don't expect this scaling debate to be any different.
Thank you very much, John. I think I will relay your messages to my Hungarian viewers, of course, in Hungarian after translation. I will also put some useful links underneath. And thank you very much for your time. And guys in Hungary, please see the next videos for more update on the continuous developments in this space. Thank you very much, John. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.